Hey guys, welcome to Glen and Corey Show. This will be our official hashtag AOL Sports Search submission. So those of you watching, please share the video after it's posted with the hashtag AOL Sports Search. So Glenn, you want to get started?
Yeah, man. When do you want to start with Heisman talk, college football talk?
College football. Let's touch on Alabama versus Mississippi State game yesterday. Mississippi State looked surprisingly poor against Alabama. I think they just looked.
Like you said, they looked overwhelmed.
Yeah, they looked overwhelmed. They looked kind of terrified, really.
They didn't look like the number one team in the country, but it is really hard to go into Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and when their Saban just prepares like nobody else.
Yeah.
And that crowd and everything, they just get completely overwhelmed, completely outmatched.
It's intimidating. It's an intimidating place to play. They just looked like they didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Alabama looks like they deserve maybe a number 2 spot in the nation, maybe even number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mississippi State plummets from that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think State drops out of the top 4. The committee's they didn't show up, like you said. They got too overwhelmed. The committee looks at that. They like the eye test. It was good for the strength of schedule. They did end up coming back and making it close, which will help their cause. But I think they do drop out of the top 4. And Bama, in my opinion, should be 1.
Now, speaking of top 4 teams, Florida State played Miami last night.
Yes, they did.
And they looked pretty poor starting off. I thought Miami was going to get the win there. But in typical Florida State fashion, they came back.
Yeah, I hate to admit it, but Winston's, I think, the best player in the country, him and Gordon, which we'll talk about later.
Right.
But they never lose. They were down 23.
Mm-hmm.
They were down to Clemson late, 1 in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Down to NC State at halftime, 1. Down by 7 to Notre Dame at halftime, 1. Down by 14 at Louisville at halftime, 1. And they were down 13 last night to Miami.
And that's something you said before was Winston's the best second half quarterback.
His number, he has a 170 rating in the second half of games and a 182 rating in the fourth quarter. Best in the country. He's just a different player, and it shows. So I think the best in the country. Them in Alabama.
Now, on this topic of big games and big players making big plays, Melvin Gordon just had an outstanding game against Nebraska. What do you think he is now? The next Heisman front runner?
I think he's
in the conversation.
In my opinion, he's going to run for over 2,000 yards, as you pointed out earlier.
Sure.
He's at 1,900 now. Has 4 games left, including his bowl game, which will count. A player that runs for 400 yards in 1 game in a season that he's having, he's the Heisman winner, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Prescott was the front runner yesterday. The quarterback from Mississippi State blew that.
Right.
Just didn't have a good enough statistic.
He played. That was shocking.
He had 3 picks in the end, which hurts. But I think he's the front runner. Only 14 running backs have ever run for 2K, including Barry Sanders. Kevin Smith was the most recent one. Marcus Allen, LaDainian Tomlinson, whose single game record he won last night.
It's a different era for running backs, though. It seems now they're like a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
And you have some stats on where they've been drafted, and it seems like none of them in the opening 10 picks even.
The last 5 drafts. I'll list every name.
Yeah.
There's like 20 of them, 15 of them, and Darren McFadden was the 4th overall pick.
Right.
He's only had 1 1,000-yard season. That's not a 4th overall pick worthy.
Right.
Jonathan Stewart, 1 1,000-yard season. Felix Jones, not in the league anymore. Rashard Mendenhall, not in the league. They were all first rounders in 08. 09, Noshawn Marino, 1 1,000 season. Donald Brown, not in the league anymore. Actually, I think he's with San Diego.
Right.
Most he ever had was 600. Ed Beanie Wells, not in the league anymore. These are all first rounders. You spent a lot of money, high pick. They should be doing better. 2010, Spiller, who's playing now, still really good, had a good season, but he's injured. Second injury.
Right.
Ingram, 2011, 600 yards most he ever had. That's not first round worthy. And then Trent Rich, and most recent, 2012, Trent Richardson, Doug Martin, Wilson and Martin are not in the league anymore. Richardson's a bust. And finally, it's like teams are catching on. None of those guys done anything. Last year, 2013, none in the first round.
And Alfred Morris, where did he say he was like a
6th-round
pick? Yeah.
It's a great point, and he's torn it up. He's been great. Top 3 in the last 2 years.
Yeah. Alfred Morris looked impressive today. Redskins look very unimpressive.
It's not even.
We won't
2
touch on that
picks in the first
much.
quarter for RG3.
Yeah, and just seeing him dive into oncoming free safety and two cornerbacks running to take his head off, and he dives backwards towards them. Just
good stuff.
Makes me think,
Stuff.
what is he doing with his life, his career? Speaking on that, let's switch gears here.
Okay.
Let's go to the real football.
Okay.
So there's been some interesting European transfer news. January transfer window is right around the corner. Exciting time. Not necessarily any big ones, but there's still some stuff to talk on. Arsenal specifically have some holes, as you know. especially in that center defensive mid role.
That's the biggest, and center back.
Right. Christoph Kramer is our pick right now.
Mhm.
We have our sights on him, and he plays, I believe, now for Borussia Mönchengladbach. They're doing well in Germany, but
He wants to be on a bigger team. He's worthy of being on a bigger
he's
team.
worthy. He needs to be on a bigger team.
Yes.
It was only a matter of time. But right now, Arsenal cannot guarantee European football, which that's maybe what he
Pulls
wants.
people away, yeah.
Yeah. Another thing I heard was, as you brought up earlier, actually, was the Matt Hummels move.
Yeah.
You
Verbal
said
agreement.
Verbal agreement to Arsenal. Now, we know what that means. They say that his agents talk to Arsenal. He says, I have a verbal agreement, basically saying to Dortmund, Manchester United, to
Give me
Chelsea,
more money.
give me more money.
Yes.
I'm agreeing to go to Arsenal. I have agreed to a contract. Those contract terms aren't known, but that's why other teams speculate and say, can we swoop him? He's the best defender waiting to be bought now, in my opinion, best center back, who's not on a great team.
Yeah.
And it bodes well for us that Dortmund is in the bottom of the German league right now. They're in last place.
17 or something like that.
Yep.
That's nuts. With
They're in the relegation zone.
That is insane.
It's pretty shocking. So we'll see. Another thing I heard was Royce and Bale. Chelsea are looking to swoop in and buy them in one single deal to bring them into Chelsea for, I think it was 150 million euros, which would shatter the European transfer fee.
I don't
record,
think.
which is, I think,
I don't see
83.
Bale leaving Madrid.
I don't either.
I mean, he's playing well. They're having a good season.
Yeah, I mean,
But it's Chelsea.
yeah. Speaking of Madrid, Benzema is also unhappy and he wants to leave. And I think
He's not playing. I guess he is.
Liverpool. Well,
Really, Liverpool.
yeah. And the thing is with Bale too, he's been kind of sat out to inform Isco. Isco's been playing very well.
Okay.
He recently had a match with the Spanish national team, scored a goal, has been playing really well. So Bale's kind of been having to sit on the back burner.
Benzema, you mean?
No, Bale specifically, but Benzema, he's just unhappy there.
Oh,
He
okay.
wants out.
He's won out. He won out last year too, didn't he?
Yeah, he's won it out
There
for
was
a while.
rumor he was coming to Arsenal. And
Yeah, we've wanted him for a while too. Yeah, but that's really it. I mean, do you have anything else?
No, that's
So it was
good.
kind of a short show today, guys.
Yeah, we're preparing for our.
We're
submissions.
gonna make another submission for this the hashtag AOL Sports Search. It's a competition they're holding to find the next great sportscasters. So we want to take a stab at it with the show tonight. Just get a little bit of mojo going, kind of get prepared for us, and we really appreciate you guys always checking in on us and watching. It helps us. It makes us feel better as we're filming live that that people are watching.
Yeah, always give us topics,
Little-
comment live.
Little confidence
comment back.
booster. Yeah, it's nice. But if you don't have anything else, I guess we'll
we're good.
say sayonara for tonight. And thanks for tuning in for this short edition of the Glen and Corey Show. We'll see you next time. Thanks.